don't confuse choices with decisions. Choices are always welcomed. You always want to have a lot of choices because that gives you agency, that empowers you to choose whatever feels right. But when you choose, the act of choosing is something that should ideally not be reversed a lot, right? The decision, the word decision means that you remove all the other options. So it's good in life to take one decision once as a result of a thoughtful process and then stick to that decision. So look at decision, if you want, as a thoughtful process that allows you to front load the thinking required to do something so that you don't think about doing the thing and you just do it. Because if you always think about doing the thing, it means that you didn't really decide to do it. The very act of deciding alleviates the need and the pressure to think about the same thing over and over and over again. And that's why most people fail at adopting good habits and empowering choices in their lives and stick to them because they always give themselves the possibility of going back to a different alternative. But that's the very purpose of a decision, to not doing that anymore. When you decide to do something, it's like a commitment. It's not just a word, it's a contract that you write with yourself to engage to do something for a certain amount of time or until you reach a certain outcome. So, deciding, if you see it that way, is the ultimate hack for productivity because you basically can redirect all that energy that you would otherwise spend always in renegotiating and rethinking about doing the thing and actually doing the thing, first of all, and in thinking about new opportunities and new ways of evolving yourself as you transform into someone else by the nature of your evolution when you engage in those things that you said you will engage into, right? And let's take a simple example. Let's say you want to improve your fitness. When you want to improve your fitness, typically you start thinking about doing some exercises, right? And then you have a plan in mind. You say, okay, I go to the gym if you can have the time to go to the gym in the day. Then you go to the gym maybe because you know that this is the good thing to do. But in the moment that you say you go to the gym, you didn't really decide to improve your fitness or get a certain outcome or improve your health in general. You didn't really have a long-term vision. You didn't really plan it to become a lifestyle, part of your daily routine. You just take this decision immediately to just alleviate the pressure that starts to build up because you are not happy with how you feel with yourself, with how you look. And then you say, okay, I will go to the gym. But then you go to the gym, and the pain that you start to experience in the gym starts to become greater than the pain that you would feel by thinking of having to improve your fitness, right? So you start to come up with all sorts of good excuses to actually not go to the gym anymore. That you're actually not that bad, not in that bad of a situation. That you're actually feeling quite okay. And waking up early, um, having to go through typical, you know, um, pains and recovery process and um, yeah, muscle soreness and so on, it's not worth it, right? And then you just simply don't do it anymore. You convince yourself that it's not worth doing it. And this is because when you decided to go to the gym, you didn't have like a long term project. You didn't contextualize the act of fitness, of going to the gym, as something that is worthwhile to keep in your life because of reasons that are beyond immediate alleviation of pain, that you don't feel good with how you are or how you feel today. You maybe have a bad day, you reach a certain threshold of frustration, you decide to go to the gym, but because the decision is not on the back of something greater, you go back to your old habits as fast and as easy as you took the decision to go to the gym in the first place. So think about decisions as contracts, as commitments that you make to yourself to actually do the thing until you get the outcome. Because otherwise, you will dilute the power of this concept of a decision by always giving up on your decision, by always reverting to what you were doing before. And by doing that, you will also affect the relationship that you have with yourself, because you will start to lose trust in your own word. And that's one of the worst things that you can do for yourself. Because if you cannot trust yourself, then you will always be able to fool yourself into doing things that are ultimately detrimental to you. So don't do that. When you decide to do something, just stick to it. When you decide to do something and you do it even when it sucks, or especially when it sucks, then you build strength. Then you become stronger. Then you will have proof that you can do something difficult, and you can translate that capability, that skill that you get now to develop, into something else in your life. It's not only about going to the gym, it's about persisting through things which sometimes are not pleasant. Because ultimately, what you want to optimize for is the outcome of being healthy, not the outcome of losing 1 kilogram or looking a bit better for the summer. You optimize for having a healthier life and giving your future self the chance to enjoy a better life overall. This is why you are doing it. And when you take a decision, take it in this context. You think about it, you decide on it, and then you don't go back. You think about the reason why you want to do something a lot before. Once you took the decision, you don't think about it anymore. You know that you have to go to the gym, you go to the gym. Because if you always negotiate, if you always leave this room of doubt, of maybe, or I will try, let's see if it works, let's see how I feel, it means that from the beginning, you give yourself the way out. You don't really commit to doing the work. And what you want is long-lasting results. You never want something which can give you something next month, and then in 2 months from now, it's like you never had anything. What you want to improve in your life is consistency and building the word that you have with yourself, building the trust in yourself. By doing things day by day by day against decisions that you know will lead to a better future for you, will build this kind of trustworthiness, if you want, with your own word. And you will know that when you will face difficulty, or when you will have to commit to something in your life, be it a partnership, a relationship, a friendship, whatever, you know that you can do it. And you know that you will do it even if sometimes will be difficult. Because this is what you do, and you don't go back. And if you think of doing something, then when you decide, that's it. And the nice part is that by deciding once, then you just act forever without thinking anymore that much. Because most of us, we always know what we have to do. We don't lack information. Things are rather simple when it comes down to how to live a fulfilling life. But we always convince ourselves that there is maybe a better way to do it, or maybe there is a shortcut, or maybe I don't have to go today as well. Maybe I can skip today. Well, you can maybe skip today, but most probably you will start negotiating to yourself to skip tomorrow also. And once you skip today and tomorrow, most probably you will skip the day after tomorrow as well. And this is how it ends. And this is how frustration begins. And this is how you will build this kind of chain of reaction, like action and reaction. And you will have this kind of proven quitting mechanism that reliably takes you out from your own world. And this is very detrimental. I'm a firm believer that when you decide to do something for at least 1 month, you don't negotiate with yourself at all. You don't introduce any kind of exception. Because if you introduce an exception in this early beginning until the habit is formed, then it will be easier to disrupt the chain of events and the flow. So I tend, when I decide something, to be ruthless with my commitment, with my discipline, for enough time that the habit gets to be ingrained, because then I can allow myself to loosen up a bit, because I know that I don't have to negotiate that much with myself, that the habit becomes second nature in a way, and that I'm being drawn into it. I don't have to think about it anymore. It's part of me, it's part of my routine, it becomes part of my lifestyle, and then I can just iterate and I can go to the next thing. So by doing this, you also build this kind of consistency, which gives you a compound growth. The more you stick to one thing, the better it grows and the more it compounds in your favor in your detriment. Because compound interest, if you want, acts both ways, right? If you stay consistent with an action that builds a healthy habit, in time you will get positive results, and you will know exactly how you had them, by staying consistent and committed to your path. It's nothing extraordinary in a way. The fact that you just stick to it and you just went to the gym 3 times a week, how you proposed to yourself, how you wanted, or whatever else, is how you get there, right? Consistency beats intensity always. At the same time, things can compound negatively as well. If you break momentum, if you don't do the things in a consistent way, then you will go back. Even I will basically you will go back even before the initial state. So you will have some sort of a negative progress in a way, because there is no thing as staying the same. Stagnation doesn't exist. We either regress or we progress. You cannot stay the same, because by default things complexify in your life. You tend towards entropy. Things become more disordered and more chaotic by their nature. If you don't do something about it, if you don't consciously curate your life and your habits and what you do on a day-to-day basis, things by default become messy. So if you don't consciously choose things that will grow you and make you better in all areas of your life, you will inevitably go into a downward spiral from which is very difficult to get out. Typically, people wait for some sort of a crisis, to have some sort of a rock bottom moment, to realize that now it's time to just have a different strategy of doing life. I had that myself, forced by a life circumstance, which culminated with me losing my mother. But now I can see how much of a gift this was for me, because it allowed me to reflect on my life and take better decisions for myself, in the benefit of everyone around me, in the benefit of my family, my friends, and towards my own benefit and towards my own growth. And this is ultimately a chance that I had, and I'm grateful for it in a way, because otherwise I'm not sure that I would have had the opportunity to wake up. and have this kind of realization that I have now and that I can share with you. This is very powerful if you think about it. And again, it's your responsibility. Don't neglect this responsibility. It's your decision, and you owe it to yourself and to your future self, rather, what you decide today and why. And I will end with another aspect related to decisions. There are simple decisions, like I'm just going to get a coffee, or decisions that can impact you in many different ways for a long period of time. I call it second degree consequences or third degree consequences of decisions. And some decisions are worth thinking more of than others, right? If you know that a decision will improve your life, then take it, own it, and don't look back. Just commit on it and execute it without thinking about it. If there is, however, something that will impact your life and the life of others and doesn't give you any long term benefit, just gives you some sort of an immediate pleasure, some risky thing, imagine always what are the second order or third order consequences of your decisions. Because the more you grow up, the more responsibilities you have, the more impact and negative impact or positive impact your decisions can have on other people as well, not only on yourself. I try to think about this a lot and take decisions in life that impact me and others in the best way possible, according to my level of consciousness, to my capability of reasoning in that moment. And I remain available to the feedback. And if I see negative implications, then I adjust. But when it comes down to simple things and intuitive things, like becoming more healthy, like eating better, like improving our relationships, we all know what kind of decisions we have to take. And the difference between someone who has their life in order and someone who has a messy life, it's not the difference in knowledge and in information that they possess most of the time. The difference is in committing to the decisions that they took, maybe 1 month ago or 1 year ago or 10 years ago. But typically, the longer they stay with the decision, the bigger the difference becomes, because that person now lives in congruence with the lifestyle based on decisions that they took a long while ago. And it was hard maybe for them as well when they took them. And then the upcoming month from the initial decision, it was hard. But because so much time passed, now they just act against those decisions still without thinking about them, and they benefit from the positive implications of everything that resulted from simply acting on those decisions for years, right? This is the difference between successful and fulfilling people who live a life in accordance to their own desires, and someone who is always struggling, who cannot find their way and cannot really execute on their purpose in a way. People who are lost. People who are lost simply because they don't know how to commit and act on things that will improve their lives. They don't have this kind of muscle built in. They don't have this trustworthiness in themselves. They don't have enough proof that they can stick with something based on their own internal decisions, because they always revert back to how they used to operate. They cannot stick to whatever they know ultimately they should do. So don't take decisions lightly. Decisions are very powerful as a concept. The decision is not the same thing as a choice. Choices are always endless. But if you take a decision, choices related to that specific decisions become irrelevant. You made your choice. The act of choosing is a decision that ideally should not be reverted unless you have good reasons to do it. Try to improve this decision making capability, work on this muscle, and see the benefits that it can have in your life. Good luck.